Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video, we're going to be doing a guide for Harmony Challenge 4 in the Sunrise Clash. Today is a little bit challenging, especially the 3,200 point challenge that you have to do because you have a faction restriction buff that you have to give the enemies, causing you to deal... If you read it over here, causing you to deal 50% less damage when you're using heroes from the main factions. And that makes it a lot more difficult, not to mention that the enemy team is also pretty strong. Like, it is one of the top considered PvP teams at the moment. And I basically consider Harmony Challenge like a PvP match in regular arena. Okay, now as for the buffs you want to equip, they're going to be the same as the ones which are required for you to do the 1,600 point mission, which are the flute, the magic flute, and then the bell, the Sonor's bell. These are going to be the top performing buffs you can use for this challenge. Now, as for which enemy buffs to select, if you just have to clear the 1,600 points, what I would recommend is just go for example, these two buffs. Power Restraint is going to be a pretty good buff to actually equip because it does deny your ultimate. Like, you can only cast 3 ultimates, but that should be enough for you to win. And it doesn't actually buff up the enemies other than that type of team comp ideas. So I'm going to show you the team which I think is pretty free to play friendly. It is using heroes a lot of people would have built up. If you don't have Carolina, I would say you can just replace her for Tassi, for example. But we have the Storm Strike spell. Storm Strike is very strong today. You're going to try to nuke the enemies, and we have Lily May. So for example, just taking a look at this, with this setup, it is going to be fairly easy. Yeah, and then the bell comes down, and that usually wipes out the Tassi, even if she is like proccing her invincibility, and that is the advantage of the bell. You basically just have to survive for those 15 seconds, and then the bell will go off and basically nuke them. Okay, now we're talking about to get the 3,200 points needed, because that is what is needed to complete all of these, the second milestone. Then you will want to go for, you can go for the offensive route. And I think this can be pretty good. And actually, I would go for all 3 from the plus 800 over here to get 2,400 points, and then just go for this because you need to have the faction restriction. This is why this is a really challenging Harmony challenge, because you need to have faction restriction. That is reducing damage from your main faction heroes. And I think on top of that, it's best to go for like an offensive buff, like the attack, because if you go for a defensive buff, they become harder to nuke. So we're gonna try again with the same comp. This is a comp which I think personally should do pretty well, but let's see what happens. Yeah, let's try it out. And then there are a lot of other cons which have been working well for people, which we're going to go through as well. So Carolina goes down, and then the rest of the team also goes down. We do wipe it with the bell at the end, so like it's just really about surviving to the bell. So I want to try some different versions. Like, let's say not Carolina, let's say you go for Ludovic, because if you're able to survive for longer, that is also a way that you could get this done. Like, okay, Ludovic is sustaining pretty well in the back, and the bell goes off and it wipes. So you just have to survive until the bell comes, and then it kills everything. So seems like that was relatively safe. So those are some team concepts you can try now, but now let's go ahead and try the proven teams which have been doing well for other people. I want to begin with 10K's team. 10K's team is using Twins and Frestro, which are considered pretty free to play friendly, with the Storm Strike spell and Ludovic for healing. Let's go ahead and take a look at this team. So, okay, the Twins are going to... Everyone's alive. That is really the advantage here. Ludovic is healing everyone. There's no risk of dying, and you're just easily going to wait for the bell to go off, and that is a pretty safe and simple clear. I would think it would work even if your Twins were like Mythic Plus. I don't think they need to be Supreme Plus. It's basically trying to outstall the opponents. So now moving on to some different teams. We have a team from Metal 369, and this is going to work even if your Talion is at 1 copy, basically, because she's boosted up to Supreme. So main Frest in front of Tassi, Illusion in front of Talion with the Storm Strike spell. Now in this one, you're going to want to turn it on to, you want to turn off the ultimates of the Fresto. Okay, well, Fresto got off, but you just want Talion and Tassi ultimating, basically, and you're going to get it done. This is, yeah, because you're only allowed to cast 3 ultimates, right? So you want to do that. And these comps, by the way, I'm showing you, they can work for the full set of enemy buffs, like getting the 4,800 point score. But like, so that's why for 3,200 they should be even easier. But I think like we showed, those are probably the optimal lineup of buffs you should select for the enemy. So here is another setup of buffs you can give to the enemy in order to clear it. Here you have, for example, you're basically not giving them the haste, this wounded fury, and you're giving them a more defensive setup. And you're giving them healing, because healing is only really useful for their Damien. It isn't as useful for the other enemy heroes. Okay, now just to do some additional testing using like our base team setup that we had here, Iron Almas comps are always a good thing to consider. We can try some different artifacts, and I do want to try some different ones. Let's try Surging Spell, and we will go for Tassi here. Yeah, we will go for Tassi, because Tassi can stall out towards the end, which is also useful. So you're going to try to nuke them at the beginning. Okay. And cycle it up with the Surging Spell. Okay. Iron goes down. Tassi is still alive. Yeah, I wonder if Storm Strike wouldn't be better. Like, we're going to win, and because Tassi is going to be able to, like, stall out from this point. But it seems like Storm Strike is going to be better. Or maybe if you go for the Storm Strike team, it's better if you run it with the offensive buffs onto the opponent. But let's see what happens here with Storm Strike. Is it gonna look like a more convincing win? Let me have it here. So Iron goes down quickly, then Bonnie goes down after that, and then we clean it up. Okay, yeah, this looks pretty safe with Storm Strike. I think there are a lot of different versions you can run here, like we saw it with the Carolina rather than the Tassi. That can definitely work. But definitely Iron Almas, Lily May type combo with Bonnie as well. Bonnie is really important. That's what you should be considering, and probably running it with Storm Strike, because when that ball then comes down, it just wipes out the enemy team. So these are all pretty solid options I think you can try. Like, what else would be another? So let's try with Arden as well. Let's see if Arden is going to be able to make it work. We can try with Sylvina too. Sylvina does well. Trying to jump onto the enemy Bonnie. Let's see what happens here. So everyone goes down. Arden's able to cast his ultimate. Okay, that actually worked with Arden pretty well. I want to try now. I want to try Sylvina. Okay, I'm going to try having Sylvina jumping on the Bonnie. I still want to have Iron getting debuffed by the Bonnie, so I'll have Iron behind that. Okay, should be able to nuke the Bonnie off of that. But is it really good enough? Okay, we do get the clear, but that didn't look as convincing. I think it's better to have your... another AoE damage dealer seems like a better choice, and I'm sure probably even Tailing could work, but we showed the other Tailing comps that you can try. What about Elsa? Would Elsa be able to work in this comp? Like, she does well in crowd control comps. Let's see what happens here. Oh, but I guess the problem is she's gonna be casting the ultimates and then denying the rest of your team from casting ultimate, which is kind of bad. It kind of did work though. So anyway, hopefully with these teams you guys are able to get something to clear the second mission. But don't worry if you can't, because look, the thing is, even in order to get all of the rewards, like even all the quest points, you just need to get 10 total stage quests complete. And so what that means is you just have to do the secondary quests on 4 of the different stages, not all 6. We have 6 in total, and you would just have to do it in 4 of them. And even if you don't get this extra 200 points, who really cares? Because look, you can almost buy everything out from the store already. Like, all that is left is these acorns, which we'll get over time with the other, like, regular day quests. So, like, you will just maybe have to pass on some origami hamsters. So it doesn't really matter. But hopefully with these teams, you guys are going to be able to do it. Good luck with it. If there's any other team that works for you, feel free to share it in the comment section. But thank you guys for watching. I hope this is helpful. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Let's try to hit it before the end of the season. But thank you guys for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.